Hello and welcome to a instant match reaction to Brighton and Hove Albion 1-0, Liverpool 1. With me today I've got Tim Unchin. Really hard fought game, I thought today. Thought we dominated the game. We got the penalty, thought we played better in the second half. Tim, what's your initial thoughts?
Oh man, I mean, you kind of knew going into it was going to be a tough game. I think we talked about it on Thursday's podcast. Like they're a tough defensive team, and they closed down really good, man. I mean, we had the ball, but I mean, it was just Van Dijk, Henderson, Fabinho passing it back and forth for like 20 minutes. It felt like. Um, Huge win at the end. I mean, it's kind of like something that Salah created, but it's almost felt like Salah dropping back the second half. Things started going. So if the goal didn't come there, it would eventually come. I mean, a lot of near heart attack moments for me, but I mean, with the makeshift defense like we had with Trent with his bum ankle and Fabinho and stuff in there, clean sheet is huge, and the 3 points is huge. So, and at this point, that's all that matters. I don't care how we play. At the end of the day, it's just get the 3 points, find a way to get the 3 points, which they did.
Yeah, thought it was interesting. I think the scoreline kind of makes the game closer than what it was. They never had a shot on target. Don't think Alisson made a save. Well, he made a save when the ball was already going wide. Thought we played the first half. Thought Henderson, man, so negative, but played better second half. Thought Fabinho was brilliant. Considering, it's out of position. Glenn Murray, when Glenn Murray plays against a defender, you're going to know you've been in a game. So, I agree with you. When Salah dropped back as well in the second half, he looked like he got on the ball a lot more. Looked like we could create a lot more. But yeah, I thought overall, we did dominate the game. We could have scored a couple and maybe one more at least in the second half to make the scoreline look a bit better. But otherwise, I thought it was just job done for Liverpool, to be honest. I really did. I want to get your thoughts on Shaqiri's performance, because I thought he didn't play well at all. I thought he was a bit average. What are you thinking?
I really was hoping in the first half, instead of what Salah did in the second half, by kind of coming back and getting the ball and going at them, because that kind of like messed up their shape and scared them a lot more. Like Salah coming at them full speed. I was hoping Shaqiri would do that in the first half, which obviously he did not. I mean, going into the game, it's good to have Shaqiri out there. But I think it kind of like weakens the bench in a way. Like I felt like you look at the bench today, if we didn't get that goal in, I know you're a fan of Origi's 96-minute heroics, but apart from, you looked at the bench and you were like, who's going to come in and kind of like make a difference, from the people who are on the field. So, yeah, it was kind of like mediocre at best how Shaqiri played. I think he doesn't do as well with those close lines when, like when he can't find that space in between the lines. And he just couldn't today. I mean, hey, you got to give credit to Brighton as well. I mean, they're a tough team defensively, and they kept that shape. I mean, I was hoping, like 10th minute, 20th minute, I'm like, I mean, they can't keep this up. They're going to slip up here and there. And they did not. When we had the ball, and they were behind the ball, like they kept that shape, and we just could not penetrate. Honestly, in the first half, the only times we were different, like kind of dangerous, was when we try to chip the ball in and try to get the second ball and stuff. Because you could say, like, when Brighton had the ball, they didn't know what the heck to do, and that's when they turned it over, and that's when we were dangerous. When we had the ball, they knew exactly what to do. They just parked in their spots and shifted along with us. So I mean, you got to give credit to them. That is a tough away game for any team. So to come out of that with 3 points is great. And I think Shakir will bounce back. I think he's a lot more suitable for home games than away games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know on the Shaq, to be honest, for when he starts. I can't remember him when he's really played well from the start. He's a lot better when the team's tired. Little small mistakes start to happen when teams are starting to come out a bit more in the last 20, 25. I think that's when we get the best of him as a substitute option. Just for today, we need his little creativity. He has the chance in the first half, of course, with the header, which I could say he could do better, but he's done well, in fairness to him. So, I was slightly disappointed with him today. I thought the game, Brighton were brilliant. I agree with you there. I thought Brighton really stuck to a game plan. I thought they're one of them teams, I think, don't believe first time they haven't scored at home in 10 months, I believe, today.
Yeah.
Which kind of says, it doesn't matter. You have to go there and score 2 to win a game against them. So, it's big that we can stop them from scoring. Another little thing I want to touch on, which is actually, before we move on to the overall collective, what really the result means. Henderson. I know I briefly mentioned him just then. I thought first half, he was dreadful. In all honesty, I thought the sideways passing and the movement, it's just, I don't know. I put in my match ratings that I don't know if the team's moving on. A bit like the Origi and the Moreno thing that I always say, it feels like we're moving on. And I don't know if when Fabinho and we get Joe Gomez back or Joe Matip and he comes back into centre midfielder, where he's going to get his games, to be honest. Just want to try and get your overall feelings, really, on how he played.
Man, I thought you were really harsh on him. When I saw the ratings, I was like, come on, man. But, I mean, I'm a known Hendo apologist, I guess. But I thought defensively he gives a lot there. And that's not really what we expect out of him. That's why I think he plays the best when he plays along Fabinho, actually. Because then Fabinho takes over that defensive role and almost like leaves Hendo to do his thing a bit more. I feel like when he is with Genie or, he feels like he's the defensive guy. So that kind of locks him up a lot more. And he did have a couple of like sloppy passes, but man, he wins a lot of important balls in that midfield throughout the game. And anytime he did lose the ball, he did chase it down and win it back. Was it his greatest game? No, I thought he did a lot better in the second half when things opened up a bit more. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't his great game, but yeah, I saw the ratings and I was like, man, Dave was harsh on the poor guy.
Bro, first half, listen, man, I'm a Henderson fan. Listen, literally, I am. I like Jordan Henderson. I think he's put in big performances for Liverpool against big teams in the Champions League. I look at this, always look at that City. I think it was the 3-0 game. I can't remember which one. He was brilliant. I just think I can't against teams that are going to sit in against us. I don't think he's what we need in the centre midfield. He's just so. I don't want to use the word negative. He's so safe on the ball with the passes to Fabinho and Van Dijk. That's all I'm saying. I think when I'm a big Henderson fan, but when you see Fabinho come in this role and Fabinho, he's pushing on, he's playing these forward passes, getting on the end of the box, you kind of see what a proper defensive midfielder does.
Yes, and I mean, like I say, I think when he is playing with Fabinho over there, another actual defensive midfielder, he doesn't play it as safe anymore. And that kind of improves his game. That's why I think he plays better with Fabinho. I mean, one thing I'll say to that, I thought, going into this game, having a defensive midfielder play as a center back, I was like, hey, the only positive is now you have two center backs that can kind of bring the ball up and actually, start the play. I thought Fabinho's passing was pretty poor today coming from the back. And I know, I'm sure, playing out of position and stuff affects him, but I was hoping that would improve over, having, Lovren or somebody there. I think Matip actually does a good job with that in terms of, you have two center backs that can suddenly push up and bring the ball up. So, but yeah, I think, going back to Henderson, I think he plays better with the defensive midfielder next to him when somebody else is, I guess at least shares the defensive responsibilities. I feel like whenever he's out there with Genie or Milner, he feels like he has to be the safe guy for some reason, or maybe that's the role Klopp gives him. He doesn't take a lot of risks. And honestly, today a couple of times he did take risk and he kind of turned the ball over, which kind of is dangerous. But speaking of midfield, this was probably the thing I took away from the game, maybe because it was at the end. But what is up with Keita? I mean, is he trying to sit on the bench? I mean, he came in for 10 minutes and did two, I thought, huge mistakes that could have cost us the game. One, obviously, losing the ball in a terrible spot. Unnecessarily, I might add, because he had people next to him. He didn't have to pick up a dribble there. And then towards the end, instead of playing it safe, turn the ball over again, and that could have gone the other way. And man, we're too close, can't afford these mistakes. And I would think, I can't see Klopp being happy with him, You kind of put him out there to kind of close out the game, be more, sound defensively, and for him to kind of cause more trouble than clear trouble, I thought was like disappointing. It's like he's definitely not good coming off the bench. We were talking earlier about how Shaqiri is good coming off
Mm-hmm.
the bench. I feel
Mm-hmm.
it's the opposite with Keita. He's better if he's starting,
Yeah.
but he's dreadful when he comes into the game afterwards.
I thought it was a brave sub to bring him on. I understand why you bring him on because we don't really have any other centre midfielder options. Milner's already on the pitch. I think with Keita, I would have played him today. I said that previously. I would have played him. I would have backed him and said, "Go on, you're going to get there on a 5-6 games." When the game's on a knife edge at 1-0, he still wants to come in and express himself and do his thing and show what he can do. I, I, in the long run, I think with Keita, it's when he's at Leipzig, he has to do everything. He has to be the best player. He has to win the ball back. He has to do the crossing. He has to do the passing. He has to do the shooting in effect. Like he has to do everything. Where we just want him to go, hey, just sit in here for the last 10. Just sit in. You don't need to do all that. We just need you to be really, really good at this one thing right now for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Just get alongside Henderson, do his running for him, while Henderson can protect Fabinho. And I think with Keita, I think you've got to back him in the next couple of games. You've got to start him. You really do. But, I agree with you. I thought, he came in, he looked a bit, I didn't really give him a score because I thought it was harsh. When your man comes in for like 8-10 minutes, I think it's always harsh to give a player a score in the player ratings. I think it's, but I do understand what you're saying. There's a few misplaced passes, but no, I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, I thought it was just, it was the right substitution. I felt, the Miller substitution was dead on. And
Brilliant.
then I thought, okay,
Brilliant
that's the
stuff.
next step. You're going to bring somebody more defensively sound and put Keita in there.
Yeah.
And like I say, I really want him to do well, having seen him play before. And I know this is kind of like the adjustment period. The guy has so much skill.
Yeah.
I think he's just almost like forcing himself, like he's trying to, almost like over trying, if you will.
Trying too hard. Yeah.
Yeah, thank God, it didn't cost us any points or anything like that. I just thought towards the end of the game, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Are you trying to stay on the bench? Like, because obviously we'll talk about the coming games in a different podcast, but especially with home games coming up, I think he's a lot more suitable to start those games to open up some other close defenses and stuff at home. But yeah, that was kind of a shocker at the end. I was kind of expecting, I'm like, okay, he's here, let's hold the ball, which, they did really well. I thought it was going to be a lot more nervy than it would be with a makeshift defense. I thought Trent sucked it up pretty good and played the entire game. Well, man, stressed, but definitely happy.
Yeah, man, 100%, 100%. One more person I want to touch on, then we'll have a little look at the table and things. Mo Salah. It's the man. He's another level, isn't he? Let's be honest. I put him. I think he's won his 6 points against Brighton this season by his sheer quality and ability. The penalty. It's a penalty. Don't. I've seen a few things on Twitter going even down to it's a penalty. The man's got the wrong side when he's kicked him. He's about to kick. It's a penalty, and it's a great penalty as well. By the way, under pressure, because the goalkeeper goes the right way, but it's a top penalty. It was that one bit of class that won us the game, really. So, what do you think about him today? I thought he was a bit off the pace. Well, not off the pace. I didn't think he got on the ball enough in the first half. The change of position, second half, completely changed the game.
Oh yeah, he just won the game. I think you mentioned it when we were talking before the podcast that he pretty much won 6 points out of the 2 Brighton games,
Yes.
and like I said, that was all him. It was all him. Like, he just created the penalty, which is a clear penalty. I don't know how anybody can argue that. I know it looked like at the end he kind of flopped, but I think he was genuinely trying to take a shot.
Yeah.
And the other leg, that will be your standing leg. When he gets clips, what are you going to do? But yeah, it's a clear penalty. I don't think anybody can even argue anything. And yeah, it was. He slammed those penalties so hard. Both penalties, it felt like the goalie could have gotten it, but it's going in so hard that it goes in. And yeah, man, the first half he was kind of. I think it was all about positioning. I was hoping Klopp would change something in the second half, and that was the biggest change. And people are afraid of him. People are afraid of his pace. People are afraid of his change of direction. Because the guy has so much, so good of a balance. So when he picked up the ball in midfield and was coming at him, you could just, sense the panic in that, defensive midfield of Brighton, which opens up things for everybody else. Kind of like, affects their shape, if you will. So, which kind of helps us. So, yeah, he was brilliant. I basically I give this win to him. I know it's a team effort, and the clean sheet is huge, but I don't know if we're getting a goal today unless he kind of creates that magic. That's what we needed, and that's what he gave us. Yeah, he's golden, man. I mean, that was huge. That was a huge 3 points. That is a very tough away game, and
Yeah,
that was huge 3 points.
I agree. I think it's a huge win. It's with City playing on Monday again. It's a humongous win because you put the pressure right back on City and go one misstep and that's it. You know what I mean? We're away again with the fairies. And we're away down the highway basically. To put it into context, then Liverpool 7 points clear, 16 games to go. We already talked about the run on the last podcast. I'm trying to. What are you thinking right now if you're Pep Guardiola? Are you thinking that Liverpool went to a tough away ground where Brighton always score at home, first time in 10 months, to give a clean sheet and they win? What are you thinking right now to your players to think,
That's the thing. That's why I thought this win was huge in many ways. Obviously, it's a away game. It's another 3 points. Now there's 16 games left. So, time is running out on them to catch up with every 3 points we rack on. And the way we're winning is promising, yes. And that's like, like I love schedules like this where we play first, get the advantage, and then be like, let's see what you got. See if you can match that. And here's the thing, this is not an easy home game for them. And then, like the coming schedule, we're home twice, they're away twice. So within these 3 games, I feel like if we take care of business, that lead is going to be more than 4 when these 3 games are over. So it has to put a lot of pressure on them. And I think we talked about it on Thursday. Everybody's like, oh, this is like a tested team and stuff. They've never been the chaser. They were just like ahead, cruising, taking care of business with just basically confidence. And I think that confidence is not as much anymore because they have lost points, which gives confidence to their opponents, thinking, I think most teams went to, Etihad thinking, are we gonna get 3 scored on or 5 scored on? Let's not get embarrassed. But having seen some recent scores has to give other teams hope that, hey, this is very doable. These guys concede goals, you never know, and that affects it. So instead of them having the overconfidence where they were plowing everybody, I think it kind of rattles their confidence, and that confidence goes to their opponent, which can only help us. But yeah, I mean, I would think they're worried. Hopefully they're worried. I'm really hoping Wolves plays really good against the top teams. I'm hoping they can do us a favor. And I was talking to somebody earlier about like Tottenham. I don't consider them as big of a threat. I still think City is the top and only threat to us winning this thing. So I mean, Tottenham getting a draw tomorrow, whatever, is good. I can't root for United. It's just not in my DNA. So I don't care. I don't care what happens in that sense. I'll take a draw, like best of both worlds kind of deal. But this has to make City worried. Which the more worried they are, the better it is for us.
I agree. I think it puts pressure right back. They must sit there and watch that today and go, they haven't played well here. They haven't played well a really tough away ground. Because we didn't. We played good. Okay to good, I'd say. If I had overall performance, it's about a 6.5. But, I mean, and they've won again. And they've got a clean sheet again. They're back to it. There's no little blip like they had when they've lost 3 and 5. We didn't have a blip. We're not having a blip. We're straight back on the horse. Piling towards it. Before we go, quick one. Who's your man of the match then today?
I would say Salah. Just because I feel like he kind of earned those 3 points. Obviously, you have other names out there like Gini. I thought he had a good game. Van Dijk, obviously, solid as always. But in terms of, you look back at this game a month from now, you're going to say Salah won us 3 points. That's why I would go with Mo.
Yeah, I just to be different, I'll go for Fabinho. Just to be different. But, I mean, because I thought, again, when you play against Glenn Murray, he hit him for a tough afternoon. Thought he was really, really good. A couple of sloppy passes, but overall, out of position, thought he was really, really good. So I'll go for Fabinho. Anything else, Tim?
No, man. Let's just now. I mean, this one out of the way. Now we can kind of sit back and enjoy watching some soccer and hope for some like favorable scores.
I know. Soon I'm going to get you to say football as well. But yeah, right. You have a great day, fella. And we'll speak soon. That is the end of this post-match reaction. Thanks.
Thank you.